So Catherine wrote to say that an ancestor of hers, William Lake Jr., died in September of 1844 while a member of the crew of the Anna Maria, a whaling vessel that left Fall River in June of 1843. She knew that some logs had been recorded, but she hadn't been able to find this one and has been looking around to see if anything exists and what can be found. So if I start by a search for Anna Maria, we find almost 500 citations from a whole bunch of different things. Wooden ships and Iron Men, that's a possibility. That's about whaling. But a lot of these others, we don't see yet books about whaling. And I did a little bit of research on this one as I started to work on it. I was looking at this. What happened was I thought, oh, I have this book, the Wooden Ships and Iron Men. I have this book here, don't I? And I couldn't find it. I don't think I do own it. But I looked at some of the whaling books that I do have, and the classic is, sorry, maybe it doesn't come through, The History of the American Whale Fishery by Alexander Starbuck. And so I looked in the index here for Anna Maria, and what I actually found was a vessel out of Fall River called Anne Maria. And in fact, I found 1843. They said they left Fall River in June of 1843. And sure enough, on page 402 shows 1843 voyages out of Fall River, and there's Anne Maria there with Captain Carr, and J.S. Barnard was the manager of that voyage. So I thought, all right, let's do a little bit of searching with Anne Maria. What can we find there? And we find other records, History of the American Whale Fishery. So you see, we find a lot of different page numbers. Let's see if I can go to that page. I don't know if this page 402 is what I saw. I'm not sure if the link will work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We'll come back to this to see if it'll come back. And if so, I'll be able to show you the citation that I was specifically looking at. But what we do find here now, we find from the American Offshore Whaling Voyages database some specific information. And here is Anne Maria, bark built in Somerset, Massachusetts of 1822, a voyage from Fall River, 1843 to 1845. This is the voyage that she was talking about. And so 1843 to 1845, you can view the crew list. If I scroll up, for some reason, it comes down. Click here to see the full crew list. And in fact, at the very bottom, we find William Lake, her ancestor. Don't know if it'll show anything else about him. Looks like it was just that one voyage, which is too bad since apparently he died on that voyage. But her interest in asking this is, are there any records of this, or any logbooks or other information like that? And so let's see what we can find. What I'm going to do is look for WorldCat to find any other entries. This Anne Maria Brig, this is possible. This is 1820. Yep. Okay. So this is probably the same vessel. Robert Smith is the master. This was 1822. We had seen that vessel was launched in 1822. Apparently, this journal, now I know that the time period is not correct, but I just want to point out, this is in University of California, San Diego. Okay, so that's interesting to note. Clipper ship, that is unlikely unless it's misrepresented in WorldCat. It's probably worth checking, and now it's gone as well. I'm going to take off the bit there and just do a search for the Anne Maria as the subject, because that could be useful, but it brings back 1,100 records. This is the one that we saw, ship's logbooks for schooners, Planter and Anne Maria. So that's probably not what we're looking for, but we could keep looking for a couple of others. It could be useful to investigate a number of those. So we're looking for other vessels with the name Anne Maria. And here's some schooners from 1864. That's not what we're looking for, but it can be worth looking through all of these to see if something useful comes up. And I'm just going to take a look at the next page as well and see what we find. A lot of records from the directories. Those can be really useful, but not for what we're doing right now. Let's try Anne Maria ship. Ship is it's nondescript. We don't know really what we're talking about here. I think we saw this one before. What's this? The Anne Maria. So this is a recording of a voyage, a shipwreck, no less. I doubt that this link will actually take us there. Well, it might. In the collection of 1869 from Fall River. So the Anne Maria was lost on the next voyage, the voyage after the one in which Catherine's ancestor died. And so that might have been this. I guess this is a long poem lamenting the loss of the Anne Maria. Okay, that was an interesting sidebar. You just kind of never know what you're going to find. And obviously, one needs to do a fair bit of searching to look for other possibilities. And let's take a closer look at this. Okay, so ships spoken, that means that they met up with the ship while they were sailing and they passed news on, things of that sort. This is a logbook from the ship Levant, but again, this is much earlier than we were looking for. So clearly, searching through WorldCat could be useful if you do SU:"Anne Maria. We might be able to improve it a little bit by putting quotes around Anne Maria. I'm not sure about that. Yes, we got it back down. We got it down to 190. So that's much more manageable. And you can see that a lot of these dates don't really line up, but some of the others might. So that might very much might be worth investigating. Another thing that I want to highlight is searching the National Union catalog of manuscript collections. And so this one, you go to loc.gov/call/nuckmuck, and then we click searching on WorldCat, and we'll do titles, notes, and subject fields, and we'll do Anne Maria here. Now I may need to put it in quotes to try to Anne Maria, put it in quotes to try to find something. So searching WorldCat, I'm going to try to search subject fields, and I'm going to type Anne Maria. And now we found 1,200 different records. So they go to Anna Maria and let's go back and try putting quotes around this. We still get 1,200 more on this record. Diaries of Anne Maria Davidson. That's not what we want. So let's try Anne Maria ship. So we're still not finding the details that we would like to find. Let's look at this one though. I think one of these might have Anne Maria in them. But what I want to highlight is the location down at the bottom. New Bedford Whaling Museum. This is where many of these are held. We did see that one from UC San Diego, so there may be other places as well. The challenge is actually finding a location where the one that you're looking for is held. But you can see that for each of these, it could take quite a while to look through each of these to find them, because sometimes I'll have other, say, Brig Cleopatra's barge, you'll find other records or other logbooks stored with the original one as well. This one is log 1085 in the Peabody Essex Museum. That's another likely location for these holdings. Finally, before I wrap up this particular one, I thought I would highlight something that I came across, which was an interesting exhibit, which is currently on and in the Yale Library of Whaling Logbooks. Records of a Maritime Industry is put together by a student there who is working in the collection. Apparently, goes on until October 6th. Alas, I am not going to be able to get there to see it, but if you are in the neighborhood, that might be useful as well. Thanks.